What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to Maps Exposed. This is the series where I share all of the lines of sight, hotspots, as well as any other sort of secrets and spawns on every one of the maps in Black Ops 4 multiplayer. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the map Slums, which is a remade map from Black Ops 2, and it's quite interesting because a lot of the spots that were in Black Ops 2 have actually been actively cut off by Treyarch in this version of the map, but in doing so, they've actually opened up a few other lines of sight, so I've got some great lines of sight to share with you guys today. But first up, like we always do with this series, let's start it off with the hotspots. Now on this map, I have what I would consider to be the three primary hotspots. First up, on the top side of the map, as you're looking at it right now, this area right here is often a big battle zone. People will be fighting between these three red dots that I've put here, and they'll generally be fighting for this brick area right here because with that brick area, you can cut off that entire lane quite effectively. So there's almost always a battle of some sort going on within this general area. Next, we also have both of these sort of courtyard areas that look towards the middle of the map. You will often get snipers or people with LMGs or assault rifles set up on either end of this, and they'll basically just gravitate towards that all game. If you're looking for some kills, go to one of these areas, and there's a really good chance you'll find an enemy. And finally, this leaves us with the last primary hotspot for the linear team-based game modes, and this is going to be the blue building. This is another very common area that people will fight over, and controlling this building can be quite important because, especially in a game mode like Domination, you get a nice clean line of sight on the B flag. And that's pretty much it for the main hotspots that you'll tend to find in linear team-based game modes. Of course, if the game is a little bit more lopsided, those hotspots will move in more towards where the spawn areas are. But generally speaking, if you have two relatively evenly matched teams, these are where the fights are generally going to take place. Now let's hop onto the map and have a look at the lines of sight as well as any other sort of secrets that I can show you on this map. Starting it off towards the A flag, if you happen to get pushed back into your spawn over in this area right here, a lot of people will jump up to this area here, which is great for picking the people off that will try and sit behind the cop car and pin you back into your spawn or pick you off as you come out of spawn. One little alternative though that gives you a little bit of a better line of sight, or at least a different line of sight that they don't expect as much, is to simply jump up on the red car here, and there you go. Get a great line of sight in there. You can also stand up and have a look over top of this pillar right here, and they don't normally expect that from you. Now getting over behind the A domination flag right here, if you have enemies that are either camping up in this area right here, or you just know somebody's about to come through that area, a cheeky little line of sight is if you back off right here, there you go. Excellent line of sight through that doorway. You can pick them off through there and they'll have no clue what hit them. A little alternative to that is also to jump up on the car right here, and from this, if you just position yourself just right, there you go. Another great line of sight into the stairs there. You can pick those people off as they push in towards your spawn. Now getting just to the other side of the wall there, you can actually come over here and look through this area here and pick anybody off that might be in that general direction over there. Next, we're getting in towards the blue building here, and one little thing that you can use to your advantage, not so much from inside the blue building, but from the other side of the blue building, if you're attacking it and somebody's set up right behind here, which is often the case, they're going to be looking over towards the B flag, or they might be standing behind here having a look in that direction. What you can do is you can actually pop yourself up on this bench right here, and if you look through the cracks, you might be able to see the guy through there, and then you can shoot through and hopefully get the kill. This will definitely be better with FMJ equipped, but even if you don't have it, if you're using an assault rifle or an LMG, you should be able to penetrate that and get the kill on them. Unfortunately, though, you can't break this glass, and therefore when you shoot it, you can't really see through it nearly as well once you've shot through it. So you really have to commit to that once you end up seeing your target. Another great way to attack the blue building from this side of the map is to simply come up behind this truck right here, and there you go. Nice clean line of sight straight through, and you'll be able to pick those people off. Also with this truck, a really nice unique line of sight is if you jump on top of the truck, you can actually see a little bit in towards the middle of the map, and sometimes you'll catch somebody sitting right behind there, or you might be able to get a little jump shot on somebody. It's not super likely that there will always be somebody camping right there, but it's worth checking every once in a while. Something quite similar to that, and this one is a lot more useful, is if you want to challenge the snipers that are right over in that side over there, maybe behind that garbage can right there, instead of challenging them from here, which is exactly where they'll be pre-aiming and ready to kill you from, all you have to do is jump up on this truck right here and strafe over a bit. There you go. Perfect line of sight into that little choke point. This is an incredible line of sight that's actually extremely practical. The only thing to keep in mind is if somebody's in blue building, they will be able to kill you quite easily. But as long as you have blue building cut off, then there you go. Excellent line of sight on them. Now, I also wanted to point out there are a ton of alternatives for challenging the people that are standing behind that area right there in the blue building. Sometimes they'll sit there and they'll try and pin you back in this spawn, and if they've got an LMG, they can usually do that pretty effectively. unless you know these lines of sight, in which case you'll be able to pick them off fairly easily. First one is simply shooting through the glass right here on that vehicle. Another one that I've got for you is coming to the van right here, looking through the window. They kind of expect this, though. This is a relatively common spot. So instead, just a little alternative is if you come to the front of this, you can mantle up on top of the van, and look at that. You can look over top right there and pick them off there. They usually won't expect you to be up in this area right here. You can also come all the way back into the laundry area. This one is a great long shot for sniper rifles. You can crouch on this, and there you go. You can pick them off through there. And I've got even one more, and with this one, you jump up on top of these barrels right here, and then strafe over, and there you go. Nice, clean line of sight in there. Also from these barrels, I did want to point out, if there's somebody that's pushed up into this area right here, you can just hop up right here really quickly and pick them off. Or another alternative is jump up on the couch right here, and you can see a little bit into that choke point area right there. Now, getting into the middle of the map here at the statue, this is where we used to have a ton of lines of sight. You could actually get a jump spot over towards C in Black Ops 2. In this area here, you could actually see towards the back part of their spawn over there, which you can still kind of see a little bit, by the way. You can maybe pick somebody off that's behind that wall. That's where you were jumping up the tables that I showed you right at the beginning. They'll be right up behind the wall there. You can kind of get an angle from that top statue area, but not nearly as effectively as you could back in Black Ops 2. But we still do get a little bit of an angle towards that direction there. If you happen to have somebody that's coming around that corner there, you will be able to see them and pick them off. But generally speaking, it's not nearly as good to be up on this top statue like it was in Black Ops 2. So getting into our last couple spots here that I have for you guys, when you're in the C domination spawns here and the enemies have really pushed you back and you know they're coming, a great way to challenge them as you come out of spawn is to simply walk up this area right here, and you get a perfect head glitch over into that area right there, so you'll pick those people off very, very easily. This also works on this side here if the enemies are flanking around in this direction and trying to pin you back from there. And also, another thing that you can do, this is for the people that will be sitting in the back alley area here. Sometimes they'll just be hanging out here trying to lock you in your spawn like that, and that can be quite effective, and it can be pretty difficult to take them out sometimes. What you can do with this is simply jump on top right here, and there you go. Nice clean line of sight into the back alley area. Of course, you're extremely exposed, so this is very situational, but it is something to keep in mind. So that's pretty much it for the lines of sight, as well as any other sort of unique spots that are generally unknown. Now let's move on to the most common spawn points that you'll tend to find in linear team-based modes. Just like I've said with every episode, this doesn't necessarily apply to free-for-all as well as hardpoint, but these spawn points will apply to most of the other game modes. And first up, we'll have a look at the primary spawns. These are the spawns that you'll tend to find like 95% of the time. More often than not, enemies will spawn at one of these locations. And with Slums, there's really not too many surprises. The primary spawns are scattered on either end of the map, and none of them are pushed up towards the middle of the map or anything. It's basically exactly where you'd expect those spawn points to be. As for the secondary spawns, as well as the spawns that you'll get sometimes when your teammates are anchoring you upwards, if your teammates are really pushed up on the map and you have no enemies nearby. And as you can see, we've got a few of those secondary spawn points by the C domination flag towards the garage as well as the back alley area. And on the opposite side of the map, if you're spawning towards A domination, we've got a couple secondary spawns that are basically right next to the A flag. And you'll tend to get those spawns, like I said, either if your teammates are anchoring forward, or if you get an enemy that's pushing towards that primary cluster of spawns. And with that, that's pretty much it. The spawns are pretty straightforward on the map Slums. There are generally few complaints I feel with the spawns on this, aside from the fact that it can be a little bit spawn trappy. If you know what you're doing, you can really hold people back into their spawn points. But at least they are generally predictable on this map, and you usually don't run into those really strange situations where somebody just spawns behind you. And with that, as always, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think of the map Slum? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Are you somewhere in between? Just let me know what you guys are thinking down below. Personally, I really like Slums. It's one of my all-time favorite maps in Call of Duty, and I am glad that they brought it back for Black Ops 4. I think it plays very well in this game. So yeah, out of all the maps it could have brought back, I'm happy Slums was on the list. If you guys enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah.